Welcome to the Think Orange podcast, where we want to encourage and equip leaders like you who are investing in the faith and future of the next generation. I'm your host, Shane Sanchez, and in this episode of the podcast, we're talking about the 7 segments of a weekly ministry environment. Whether you're serving in preschool ministry, kids ministry, or student ministry, these segments are mostly the same, but today we're going to break them down for each life stage. So feel free to only listen to the one that is most helpful for you. All right, we're so excited for you to hear from our Orange Curriculum directors, Brittany Robertson, Dan Scott, Ashley Bohenson, Leslie Mack. So let's dive in. First, you're going to hear from Brittany Robertson as she breaks down the 7 segments for preschool programming.
When it comes to making the most out of preschool curriculum, there are endless tips and tricks out there. So why create a breakout like this? Well, when it comes to Orange, we are more than just curriculum. We are a strategy that connects the life-changing message of Jesus with what we know about preschoolers, how they learn, and to help them grow in their faith. We've learned that you can't force a person to have a relationship with Jesus. You can only create an engaging environment where they connect with trusted leaders, see faith at work, and enjoy their time enough to want to come back. Ministry to the next generation is a long game. We want to do the best we can with the time we have to lay a faith foundation for preschoolers that will grow with them. But before we jump right in, here are a few things to keep in mind. While the focus of this talk won't cover curriculum content or Orange theology, it's good to note a few things. Our starting point is transformation. Our hope is that through Orange curriculum, kids are introduced to Jesus and invited to follow him. We want every child to have an everyday faith that transforms how they love God, others, and life. Behind the scenes of each month of curriculum are people who love Jesus and love preschoolers. We are pastors, educators, theologians, creatives, writers, editors, and videographers, not to mention some very organized project managers who make sure you get what you need to pull off ministry for preschoolers in your church each and every week. We write from a certain perspective, but we keep you in mind throughout the entire process. We make it easy for you and your team to contextualize Orange curriculum for the unique needs of your community. You will have more than you need, and to help you understand what will work best for your church, we have a whole team of Orange specialists standing by to help you make the most of all of it. So as we jump in together, write down any questions you might have. Then head to findmyos.com and connect with your Orange specialist who can help you find some answers. Okay, I think that's it. Let's jump right in to getting the most out of your preschool curriculum. Every hour of programming from the time your families walk through the doors of your church to the time kids get picked up should work together to reinforce one big idea. To do this, we think there are 7 segments of curriculum to keep in mind. The first segment is Prelude. We define it as setting the tone for the experience. Your preschooler's first impression of God begins the moment they step into your environment. Consider the music playing in your hallway, the posters, the decorations on your walls, even the way your host team gets down to each preschooler's eye level and greets them by name as they enter the room. When you think about Prelude, make sure your environment communicates that preschoolers matter. Once the preschoolers come into your room, you start on the next segment, Social. Social is the segment where you provide time for fun interaction. Preschoolers don't always want to leave the safety of their family to enter a new environment. And that's why it's vital that they see their favorite people, their small group leaders, doing something fun and engaging as soon as they get to the door. Not only should the social activities be super inviting, but they're also important for the way preschoolers learn. Through engaging social activities, new concepts are introduced that preschoolers will hear later in the Bible story. By introducing these new words and ideas before they hear the Bible story, preschoolers are more likely to understand the story and its application. At the end of the social segment, it's important that you help kids transition to large group. Transitions are actually another segment that we define as moving smoothly from one thing to another. Preschoolers need help when transitioning from one activity to the next, and this has been even more evident with children these past few years. In fact, a child's ability to learn will greatly decrease when they're scared, confused, or don't know what's coming next. With transitions, preschoolers get the repetition and routine that they need. This is why Orange Curriculum provides transitional phrases, songs, and activities to help you move your preschoolers from one segment to the next. The next segment is worship. It's defined as prompting action beyond the experience. Begin each large group time for preschoolers with worship to engage and involve those little ones right away. Plus, get a few wiggles out. Preschoolers worship with their entire bodies, which is why we recommend providing motions for each song. The kids will want to jump, shout, clap, dance all around as they worship. Also, it's really important to encourage small group leaders to participate so preschoolers can see teenagers and adults that they respect, worship, and respond to God as well. The fifth segment is story. Story is defined as communicating God's truth in engaging ways. The story segment brings the Bible story to life for preschoolers. The storyteller engages children and leaders in the dynamic telling of the Bible story, using props, large movements, facial expressions, sounds to capture their eyes and hearts. When teaching God's word to preschoolers, we are not watering it down, but rather breaking it down into bite-sized pieces for a preschooler to understand. If you use Orange Curriculum, we provide scripts and even have videos you can use if you don't have the volunteers to pull off a live large group teaching. Once large group is over, small group leaders will transition kids back to small group. We call this segment groups and define it as creating a safe place to connect. Groups is where kids review the Bible story, memory verse, and bottom line in a small group setting. Through engaging activities, small group leaders help preschoolers apply the Bible story to their lives. These activities are written with preschoolers in mind and highlight every learning style while reinforcing what was taught in story time. In groups, each child is encouraged to practice faith skills like prayer, helping them grow in their relationship with Jesus. Through a journal and prayer time, every preschooler is given the opportunity to list their prayer requests and know that they matter to God. Small group leaders should be given everything they need to create this incredible experience for their little ones. The preschool experience ends with an important handoff. As parents come to pick up their precious preschoolers, small group leaders help transition families to the final segment, home. Home is all about prompting action beyond the experience. We believe that what happens at home is more important than what happens at church. This is the time where small group leaders can connect with families and let them know that their preschooler learned so much that day. This is also the time to send home parent resources like Parent Cue to help families continue the faith conversation at home with their preschoolers. Well, there you have it, the 7 segments to help you make the most of preschool curriculum. We hope that when you keep these 7 segments in mind, it can help you organize what you already have and make the most of the time you have with the kids at your church. This is where we are now. We're always rethinking and reimagining preschool ministry for the next generation. And if you want to know more about what we do at Orange, head to thinkorange.com and take a look. Again, our hope is that all kids have a better future and that they find an everyday faith of their own that transforms how they love God, life, and the world around them.
Brittany, that was great. Thanks so much. Now, let's listen to Dan Scott as he unpacks the 7 segments for kids programming.
When it comes to making the most out of your children's ministry curriculum, there's no end to the best tips and tricks available on the internet. So why create a breakout like this? Well, when it comes to Orange, we're more than just a curriculum. We're a strategy that connects the life-changing message of Jesus with the best of what we know about how kids learn to help them grow in their faith. We've learned that you can't force a person to have a relationship with Jesus. You can only create an engaging environment where they connect with a trusted leader. They see faith at work and enjoy their time enough to want to come back again and again. Ministry to the next generation is a long game, and we want to do the best we can with the time we have and engage kids in faith. But before we jump into the main part of this talk, here are a few things to keep in mind. While the focus of this talk won't cover curriculum content or Orange theology, it's good to note a few things. Our starting point is transformation. Our hope is that through Orange Curriculum, kids are not only introduced to Jesus, but also invited to follow him with their whole life. We want every child to have an everyday faith that transforms how they love God, others, and life. Behind the scenes of each curriculum series are people who love Jesus and love kids. We are pastors and educators, theologians and creatives, writers, editors, and videographers, not to mention project managers who keep us all organized and make sure you get what you need to pull off ministry in your church. We write from a certain perspective, but we also keep you in mind throughout the whole process. We make it easy for you and your team to contextualize Orange Curriculum for the unique needs in your community. You will have more than you need. And to help you understand what will work best for your church, we have a whole team of Orange specialists standing by to help you make the most of it. So as we jump in together, jot down any questions you might have. Then head to findmyos.com to connect with your Orange specialist who can help you find some answers. All right, I think that's it. Let's jump in with getting the most out of your elementary curriculum. From the time your families walk through the doors of your church to the time kids get picked up from small group, everything should work together to reinforce one big idea. We think there are 7 segments of curriculum to keep in mind that help you get there. The first segment is Prelude, which we define as setting the tone for the experience. This is everything that happens before a child enters their environment. This is where you consider what your kids' rooms and hallways look like. Think about the music that's playing as families enter, the posters and decorations you have on your walls. A good rule of thumb is to think about that whatever year it is outside the walls of your church, the inside needs to reflect that year as well. The relationships in your environment speak to how much a child feels loved. How you create your environment, what it looks like, that speaks to how much a child feels liked. Both are important to help a child feel welcomed in your ministry. Prelude also includes a host team that gets down at a child's level and welcomes each one by name as they enter. Once the kids come into the room, you start on the next segment, Social. Social is the segment where you provide time for fun interaction. This is a great chance for kids to connect with their small group leader. This is a time set aside for leaders to welcome kids and ask them relational questions that catch each other up on the past week. This social segment can also include a fun activity that teases the big idea for the day and gets the brain ready to experience the Bible story. At the end of the social segment, it's important that you help kids transition to large group. Transitions are actually another segment. We define them as moving smoothly from one thing to another. They can make or break a kid's experience. The first transition helps kids change their focus from small group to a large group setting. Consider a short phrase that the small group leader can say to help kids switch their focus. If you use Orange curriculum, this is written right into the opening small group activity. You can also enhance this with lighting and music that cues kids to be aware that it's time to pay attention to the story. Story is actually our fourth segment. It's defined as communicating God's truth in engaging ways. Together, kids and leaders experience a dynamic Bible story featuring a host and a storyteller. The host is a fun, relatable person who sets up the tension for why the story is important for kids to hear. Then the storyteller comes out and answers that tension with a story or principle from God's word. These are told with all sorts of fun story conventions that take into account how kids learn and what they enjoy. After the Bible story, the host comes back out, wraps up the time, and the host reviews the bottom line for the day and gives kids a practical way to apply the story to their lives. In a preteen environment, this might look a bit different. The host may be more like an MC that gets kids excited to be there and leads them in a fun opening game. A preteen storyteller is more like a student ministry communicator that sets up the tension with a story and provides insight for how the Bible answers that tension. The communicator finishes the lesson with an application question and gets them thinking about what they'll talk about during small group. If you use Orange curriculum, we provide scripts for all of these and even have videos you can use if you don't have as many volunteers to pull off live large group teaching. Transitions should also show up throughout large group as well. They are important to help keep kids focused as they move from opening games to engaging with the Bible story and applications. Throughout this story segment, we also include a chance for kids to sing and move around a little bit during worship. That's the fifth segment. We talk about worship as inviting people to respond to God. Now you'll notice that doesn't say inviting kids to worship, but inviting people to worship. We want small group leaders to get right in there and sing along with the kids, do the motions, and really get into the music. It's super important for kids to see other adults worship and respond to God. Once large group is over, small group leaders will transition kids back to small group. We call this 6 segment groups. and is defined as creating a safe place to connect. This is the part of the small group lesson where kids review the Bible story, learn their memory verse, and participate in fun activities that not only help them apply the story to their lives, but also help them practice faith skills like prayer and Bible navigation that help them grow in their relationship with Jesus. Small group activities are written with kids in mind, what they like, how they learn, and how they relate to the world around them. Small group leaders should be given everything they need to create an incredible experience for their kids. A preteen small group experience might look slightly different. Small group leaders can allow preteens to take some greater ownership of the time. They can facilitate activities and discussions that allow kids the opportunity to run point for their time together. The children's ministry environment should end with an important transition, a handoff. As parents come to pick up their kids from small group leaders help transition families to the final segment, home. Home is all about prompting action beyond the experience. At this point, your small group leaders can briefly talk to parents about what happened during group. It's a chance to hand out everyday faith devotionals or parent cue cards to help families continue the conversation throughout the week. We believe that what happens at home is more important than what happens at church. That's why we create a variety of options for families to talk about the lessons at home, including the Parent Cue app. Well, there you have it. The 7 segments to help you make the most of elementary curriculum. So this is where we are now. You may find that not all of these work as well in your context. You may find you need to add one, and that'd be great too. We're always rethinking and reimagining children's ministry for the next generation. If you want to know more about what we do at Orange, head to thinkorange.com and take a look. With so much available to churches in the area of children's ministry, it's hard to know where to start. However, when you keep these 7 segments in mind, it can help you organize what you already have to make the most of the time kids are with you at church. Again, our hope is that all kids have a better future where they find an everyday faith of their own that transforms how they love God, life, and the rest of the world.
Dan, thanks. Finally, Ashley Bohens and Leslie Mack are going to share what the 7 segments look like in student ministry.
What's up, friends? My name is Ashley Bohens, and I serve as the Director of Middle School Strategy at Orange.
And I'm Leslie Mack, and I serve as the Director of High School Strategy at Orange. So when it comes to making the most of our middle school and high school curriculum, there's no end to the best tips and tricks available on the internet. So why create a breakout like this? Well, when it comes to Orange, we're more than just a curriculum. We are a strategy that connects the life-changing message of Jesus with the best of what we know about how kids learn in order to help them develop an everyday faith.
You already know that middle schoolers and high schoolers are at 2 distinct and unique phases in life, each asking different questions, seeing the world through different lenses, working on understanding who God is, and facing different felt needs. That's why we created 2 curriculums, XP3 Middle School and XP3 High School. These curriculums are aligned at things like schedule, topics, scripture, special events, memory verses, and so much more so that you can win with a cohesive strategy with the 2 age groups.
We've learned that you can't force a person to have a relationship with Jesus. You can only create an engaging environment where they can connect with trusted leaders, see faith at work, and enjoy their time enough to want to come back again. Ministry to the next generation is a long game, and we want to do the best we can with the time that we have and engage teenagers in faith.
But before we jump into the main part of this talk, here are a few things to keep in mind. While the focus of this talk won't cover curriculum content or Orange theology, it's good to note a few things. Our starting point is transformation. Our hope is that through Orange curriculum, middle and high schoolers are introduced to Jesus and invited to follow him. We want every teenager to have an everyday faith that transforms how they love God, others, and life.
Yep, behind the scenes of each curriculum series are people who love Jesus and love youth. We are pastors and educators, theologians and creatives, writers, editors, and videographers, not to mention project managers who keep all of us organized and make sure that you get what you need to pull off ministry in your church. We write from a certain perspective, but we want to keep you in mind throughout the process. We want to make it easy for you and your team to contextualize Orange curriculum for the unique needs in your
ministry. So yes, you will have more than you need. And to help you understand what will work best for your church, we have a whole team of Orange specialists standing by to help you make the most of it all. So as we jump in together, jot down any questions you might have. Then head over to findmyos.com to connect with your Orange specialists who can help find you some answers. All right, I think that's it. Let's jump in.
One of the reasons I love this curriculum is that XP3 is about more than just giving you great sermons. It's about giving you tools to help with every aspect of your weekly environment, not just your teaching time. From the time students walk through your doors until the time they go home, we call them the 7 segments: Prelude, Social, Transitions, Worship, Story, Small Group, and Home. Youth workers are the most brilliant, most strategic people on the entire planet. So you probably already think through these segments, but you might just call them something different. Either way, during our short time together today, we want to unpack everything that is available in our curriculum in these 7 segments.
All right, let's get started with the first segment. It's called Prelude. This is all about setting the tone for the experience. This is what happens in your environment before your program even begins. This is what students see, hear, smell, and feel. We believe that this is so important. That's why we provide things like series graphics, loop videos, recommended playlists, and set designs. The Prelude assets also include tools for your ministry leaders as well. Everything that you and your team need to prep. Things like series preview videos and the ministry leader guide.
The second segment is social. This is the part of your program where your students can connect and have some fun with each other and their small group leaders, because fun breaks down walls and makes relationships go deeper. For this segment, we provide games, stage games, all-skate games, and games to play in their small groups. We also provide you with game images.
So the third one is transitions. Think of transitions as kind of a secret weapon, right? Thoughtful transitions have the power to elevate your experience, while careless transitions interrupt and distract and can make it seem like you were kind of underprepared. Transitions help you move smoothly from one segment to another through your ministry programming, because the smoother your transitions are, the fewer distractions your students will face. So we provide things like series branded countdown videos, bumper videos, and series graphics. We also include suggested cues for what to say at various transition points right in your scripts and guides. So Prelude, Social, Transitions, and up next we have worship. We think of worship as inviting students to respond to God and giving students a chance to connect with God. In your service, this may happen specifically through music, but we also emphasize worship in various other ways throughout the curriculum, with a focus on how you live and serve. For your large group experience, this is where your worship leader guide comes in. It includes a recommended worship set list, a list of songs that are not only current, but also often thematically tied to the content you'll be teaching. It also includes prompts, cues, song transitions, and pro tips for whoever might be leading your worship service to help them prepare to lead.
The fifth segment is story. This refers to your big, large group teaching time where you communicate God's truth in an engaging way. Every message in XP3 curriculum is written with a middle schooler or high schooler in mind, how their brains work, how they learn, what their biggest needs and most pressing questions are, and most importantly, what they need to know right now about the God who made them, who loves them, and has a plan for them. Then everything from the teaching outlines and scripts to the bottom lines, interactive teaching elements, our dynamite media package, teaching slides, and teaching videos that we create for each week of the curriculum are created by a huge team of people who understand, continuously study, and really actually like middle schoolers and high schoolers. You'll find all of that and more in each week's communicator guide. Keep in mind that all of these documents are editable because you will need to contextualize it for your students, your denomination, in your context. And it needs to sound like you.
Yep. And so small groups, creating a safe space to connect. That's what we do in small groups. Small groups are a huge deal, not only for the XP3 team, but for Orange as a whole, because we're convinced that some truths are best processed in the context of relationships, and that students need adults besides their parent who can come alongside them to influence and care for them. Small groups for us are the whole point. They are the thing. In our opinion, that everything else in your program should lead to. To help you do this well, we provide a robust small group guide that includes questions and experience pieces, and small group leader emails to help your leaders prepare. We actually provide you with 2 iterations of the small group guide. One for you if you have small group time apart from your large group time, and a second iteration that integrates small group time into large group time. Also, make sure you check out the Lead Small app. Everything you need to lead small groups successfully all in one place, from small group questions to direct messaging, and even a way to keep track and keep notes on each of your kids.
The last segment is the home segment. It's what happens when a student walks out of our doors. We've already told you that small groups are a huge deal for us, but parents are too. Even more than small group leaders, parents are the people who have the most influence in the lives of your middle schoolers and high schoolers. So, if you want to influence students, you should probably influence the people who influence them, right? That's why we've created a bunch of tools to help you better connect with and cue the parents of your students with a unique resource we call Parent Cue. Download the Parent Cue app today to begin exploring all of the resources we offer to partner with parents. We also know the importance of teenagers owning their faith apart from our programming. Here at Orange, we call it Everyday Faith, and it consists of daily devotionals you can print or find on the YouVersion Bible app. What I love the most about these daily devotionals is that some of them are actually written by teenagers themselves. And lastly, for the home segment, we make sure to equip you with a social media guide with pre-made images, prompts to capture your own images, ideas and captions to help your students engage in God's work all week long.
So that's a look at the XP3 middle school and XP3 high school curriculums through the 7 segments. Let's review them again. Prelude, social, transitions, worship, story, small group, and home. See, here's the thing. We want you to win with teenagers, whether you use our curriculum or not. The 7 segments is just one of the wins that we've uncovered along the way. So let's keep growing, keep learning, and keep creating environments where the faith of teenagers has a chance to grow. Thanks for spending some time with us. So if you have any more questions, you can head over to findmyos.com to connect with your Orange specialist.
Thanks so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, we would love for you to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We love this review by Dawn. They said, I enjoy the variety of voices speaking the same philosophies. They're relevant to aspects and challenges that ministries are currently facing, and they bring insight to personal and vocational ministry that the daily task of ministry can benefit from. Thank you so much for the review. And if you want to learn more about Orange curriculum, or if you want to join the thousands of churches who've partnered with the Orange strategy to help kids develop a lasting faith, you can try Orange curriculum for free today at free.thinkorange.com. All right, we'll see you next time on the Think Orange podcast.